Ma'am, leave my shop, please.
You see, you're being rude
Now I'm gonna be rude, yes, because you came in here, you opened my door, yes, and I said, ma'am, would you mind closing my door? I have my air on. And then you said, do you want me to buy something? And I'll close the door. And now I'm saying, no, you're not gonna buy anything, so you can leave.
Okay, but just remind you that it was over a door.
Yes, no, it was over. It's my shop, and if I want my door closed,
it's on live.
It is.
They're gonna notice and hear.
That's why before I said, what did you say?
No, hold on. I came in
outside, yes.
in a good mood.
Yes.
You even said, I don't know what. I said, yeah, well, they're bumping outside, and you're like, yeah, I'm listening to my music.
Exactly. That went all fine. That went all fine. You said something in Spanish, and you opened the door.
Women need to know when to explain and when to assert. When to explain and when to assert. There are times in life as a woman you explain yourself. There are times in life where you have to assert yourself. You can assert yourself verbally, or you can assert yourself with your actions. As women, your authority is going to get challenged a lot in life. Women's authority get challenged a lot because everybody, to a certain extent, has a level of internalized misogyny and internalized patriarchal thinking. So this woman is a business owner that stated her boundary is to keep the door closed because she doesn't want her air getting out. The customer didn't care. This woman is now having a shouting match with her customer. Number one, as a professional, you don't have shouting matches with customers. You don't do that. Why? Because if another customer comes in and they see that you're the type of person that is going to be shouting and getting aggressive with your customer while your customer is getting aggressive with you, they may say, you know what? I don't think I want to buy from that shop because it seems a little bit too problematic. I'm not going to go. So to avoid that, you assert yourself. And how do you do that? You stop explaining to the customer. When they start to get rowdy, you walk away and you call the cops. You call the cops. Because nobody respects a woman of too many words. They respect women of few words. If women talk less and do more action, talk less and do more, you will get farther. Women have to stop explaining yourself and start asserting yourself instead. There is a big difference between explaining yourself and asserting yourself. You want to go for asserting yourself. Why? Because when women over-explain themselves, what that translates to the other party is 1, uncertainty, 2, lack of confidence, 3, lack of autonomy, and 4, lack of self-respect. So when you're constantly over-explaining yourself as a woman, you are telling other people you are the perfect target to mold, meaning you're moldable, and you can be coerced. Coercion, okay? So what women have to do is women have to stop explaining themselves and assert yourself instead. What does asserting yourself look like? I thank you so much for letting me know. Unfortunately, I cannot do that. Thank you for giving me the time. I really appreciate that. Unfortunately, I cannot show up at that time. You know, I really appreciate your house visits. However, moving forward, I would appreciate it if you could let me know when you're coming so I can prepare, because I cannot prepare for random visits. You know what? I do appreciate your house invite, but as I stated beforehand, I am not interested in having any type of hookups or anything like that if I am not in a exclusive relationship with a person. So no, unfortunately, I will not be able to come over your home for the lovely meeting that you are going to be cooking. I really appreciate the invite, but unfortunately, that will not work. You have to assert yourself as a woman and be confident while doing so, because people are just not going to take you seriously, okay? They're not going to take you seriously. And just like that video clip that you guys just saw, when you keep explaining yourself, it turns into a nasty, big, ugly, nasty monster where it's just a shouting match. So once it turns into a shouting match where you are reinforcing your boundary and the opposing party is not respecting that as a woman, call the cops. Okay, call the authorities. If you are not being listened to, you walk away and you call the cops and they will handle it for you. You don't want to be shouting with a customer. It doesn't look good. Why? If other customers are coming into the store to purchase, it looks like, okay, this is not very classy. I definitely will not be purchasing my arrangements from there. So ladies, stop explaining yourself and assert yourself instead. And you don't always have to assert yourself verbally. You can assert yourself with your actions by simply calling the cops. Okay, if somebody is coming into your place of business and they're causing problems, right? Have you noticed that women are always explaining themselves? It's almost like women always have to explain their boundary, their expectations, their requirements, their no's, their yeses. It's like people are always expecting an explanation from women, and a detailed one at that. And do you want to know why? Because people don't respect women's boundaries, which is why women, ladies, stop explaining yourself and start asserting yourself instead. What does it mean by asserting yourself? Hey, Mel, how you doing? I'm doing good. How you doing? I'm doing good. Do you think that you would be able to put those files together on your weekend? I know you're off, but do you think you'd be able to put those files together for me? No, unfortunately, I can't. I won't be able to. I can't. No. Oh, why? Why no? No, because I said so. Because I said so. Because I said so. And that should be enough. Why does my no have to be explained? Why can't it just be accepted? You are asking me to do something on a day that I am not available and that I am not required to do it. You put in the request. I told you that I am not able to. It should have ended at, sorry, I will not be able to do that. Actually, let's remove the sorry because we're asserting ourselves. Unfortunately, I will not be able to do that. That's another thing, ladies. Stop saying sorry when you don't really need to be sorry. That's another thing. That's another thing that causes people to not respect your boundaries when you're saying sorry. Sorry, I won't be able to. No, just say unfortunately, I won't be able to. Replace sorry with unfortunately. Because I said so. Because I said so. It's like sometimes I'm like, women have to explain the most basic decisions because people don't respect a woman's individual autonomy. Because something is right with you, that's why you're getting attacked a lot. God speaks to us through people, through dreams, through scenarios, through feelings that we get, our discernment, showing up. You got to take God serious. You got to keep God at the center of your life at all times. I'm going to walk away from God because of these experiences that I've had. Got to put my Karen hat on because I said so. Because I said so. It's no because I said so. That is why. That is why. Now, the reason why people desire for women to explain themselves and women are programmed to explain themselves is because of internalized patriarchy, internalized misogyny, national misogyny, male identification with women, male identifications with men, and essentially the disrespect for the divine feminine. Okay? Disrespecting the divine feminine. Meaning a woman cannot assert herself. She must bow to us. To us. To us. And who's us? Society. And the civilians that inhabit society. The masses don't respect the divine feminine. Therefore, women have to explain their decisions and actions to those that be. So, first and foremost, women need to understand that people are paying attention to you. Men and women are paying attention to you. And they're paying attention to see if you're really about that life. Like, are you serious about your respect, or are you just acting like it? They're paying attention to if you stick to what you say and you say what you're going to stick to. People are going to pay attention to, can you be manipulated? Okay? Can you be manipulated? That is big. That is big. And the reason why that's big is because people are banking their money on a woman's inability to assert herself and demand respect through her actions, and to have concrete boundaries that cannot be bent or changed. Okay? So the reason why women are essentially feeling the need to explain themselves is because, first of all, you're not concrete in what you say. So, for example, if I was that lady and I said, hey, ma'am, can you please close the door, please? Because I have the air conditioning on. It's very hot and I don't want the air to go outside. So if you can close the door, please, I would appreciate that. And the woman started like yelling at me or whatever, the customer, what I would do is I would walk to the back very slowly.
If you don't resonate or align with my teachings, then my content is not for you. Avoid commenting, subscribing, or interacting. Instead, go to a page where you resonate. If you comment something foul, disrespectful, or like something foul or disrespectful, you will be blocked. I will also block you if you comment any contradictory to my message. I don't post for your agreement, so please think about that before you run and comment, I don't agree. Think about that. It doesn't matter. I post what I am led to post. Your agreement or okay was never needed. I don't need your permission. Let's get into it.
Slowly, I would walk to the back and I would just call the cops. And I'm done. I'm not going to argue with you in my facility that I own about my rules and regulations. I already told you to close the door because it's hot and I don't want my air conditioning from the warehouse I pay every month. I don't want it going out, and you don't want to respect that. So therefore, I'm going to assert myself with actions that I'm going to call the cops. And then you can explain to them. You can argue with them outside of my shop so you don't disturb my other customers. Women, when you start to explain yourself, a lot of times people are already committed to misunderstanding you. They have made a commitment to misunderstanding you and not caring about your boundaries. They don't care. So the fact that the person is even willing to challenge your boundary, that tells you right there that they don't care about what you have to say and that they're going to keep challenging it because they don't care. Okay? So let's get into the deeper meaning behind this. So first and foremost, the number one way to manipulate women is coercion. Okay, that is the number one way. A lot of women get manipulated, and my heart goes out to the women that do. My heart goes out to the women that get manipulated, and the main reason why my heart goes out to them is because women are afraid of being rejected. Okay, women are afraid of being disliked. Women are afraid of what comes with not being liked. And ladies, it's a part of life. Not everybody's going to like you. At some point as a woman, you have to make peace with that shadow side. The lower nature of a woman desires to be accepted and loved and admired by everybody, because women are built with an insecurity. Men are born with a superiority complex. Women are born with an inferiority complex. So women always have a part of them that desires acceptance. And because of that, it's easy to manipulate women into getting what you want out of them because they don't want to step on any toes. They don't want to challenge any toes. They don't want to step on toes. So because of that, women are always explaining themselves in long lengths because they feel like, I owe this person this, instead of feeling like I owe myself the respect of not explaining my boundary and just being a Karen instead and simply saying, because I said so. Because I said so. And it's really going to get to that point where, as a woman, you are tired of constantly explaining the most mundane things simply because your decision is making another person feel uncomfortable. That is the challenge. And I kind of learned this when I was younger, especially working in corporate America. I noticed that I was being coerced a lot and cornered a lot into doing things. And because I didn't want to step on anyone's toes, and because I didn't want to look like the problematic girl or the mean girl or the problematic person, because I didn't want to appear in that way, I would go out of my way to do things or accept certain things that I didn't need to accept and that I didn't need to do, simply because I had fear. I was fearful of upsetting someone, and I made myself uncomfortable so that they could be comfortable. And I abandoned myself. That is self-abandonment. I abandoned myself to appease the requests of another person. And even when I would try to explain to that other person why I couldn't do it, they made me explain myself, and it made me crack and say, you know what? I'm going to do it. And that is how society gets women, is through coercion. So when you stop explaining your no, and instead you assert yourself through your actions, and I always tell women, talk less, do more. Talk less, do more. Your actions. People don't really pay attention to women's words, like I said, because women are so easy to manipulate that a lot of times when women say things, people don't take women seriously. Okay? And the reason why people don't take women seriously is because women don't take themselves seriously. That's why your gym membership is still sitting on your kitchen counter and you've never went. This is why your project is still left unfinished. This is why you're still not wearing red lipstick, even though you say you want to, because women have so much fear. Women are so fearful and so ashamed. They feel ashamed because of what people have done to them. Women cannot stand in their truth because they're scared of it. And that's why women are always explaining themselves instead of saying, the answer is no, and it's no because I said so. And sometimes, I'm telling you, men and women are going to look at you like you're crazy when you say this, when you act like this, because they've never seen it. I remember I had a business meeting with a fella, and he was trying to cross a major boundary, and he asked the question, and I said, no. And he's like, why? I said, because I said so. And you guys, he literally paused and looked at me like he saw a ghost. I said, because I said so, and I'm not going to explain why. I'm not explaining why, not today. And I just kept sipping my orange juice, and he looked so confused because people are so used to women making themselves uncomfortable to make other people comfortable, or rejecting their own personal needs and wants to take on the needs and wants of other people, that when a woman doesn't do that, it's like, oh my God, she's the devil. Here comes Jezebel. That's what they call you. Here comes Jezebel. Because they see your boundary as you're like an evil witch woman. My mother started to panic They're like, we need to call 911. Something is wrong. Doctor told my mother, it looks like your baby may unfortunately be a victim of SIDS. God is full of surprises, but good surprises. Major encounter with God in my life. That was the Holy Spirit warning me and giving me signals about a warfare that was. He's never going to lead you in a path that is going to end in your demise. No way. It's important to keep pushing, keep praying, and keep believing, even when you don't see a way out. And because something is right with you, that's why you're getting attacked a lot. God speaks to us through people, through dreams, through scenarios, through feelings that we get, our discernment, showing up. You got to take God serious. You got to keep God at the center of your life at all times. I'm going to walk away from God because of these experiences that I've had.
You have to be willing to weaponize your masculinity as a woman. Masculinity is not bad. Masculine energy is not bad. I don't know why people keep saying that. Masculine energy is the ability to reach a goal. Masculinity is what? Goal-oriented, structurally, orderly, being able to show up on times, precision, logic, rationality. Nothing about that is bad. So with the October spooky season coming around and holiday season, make sure you guys are okay being the villain. Yes, villainhood is a real thing, and that's what this class is going to talk about. We are going to speak on the characteristic traits and approaches you have to take when you are no longer living your life to be accepted and validated by people while accepting their bad behavior. Sometimes being the protector in your book looks like being a villain in another person's book. It's all a psychological mind game. If you don't choose yourself, if you don't choose your happiness, if you are not unapologetically you and winning without feeling apologetic about it, guess what? People are going to view you as a villain. But if you already walk in villainhood, it doesn't matter. Okay, so this is going to be a good class, especially in conjunction with weaponizing your masculinity. You have to get comfortable with being viewed as a villain. You need a strong mental mind to accept people villainizing you because you are being and doing your best.